take a step back and look what's really going on. The way the NBA has developed over the last 4 or 5 years has been spread the floor, shooting. And Rondo, despite having a lot of time in his career, has never developed a shot. And as a result, he is not an ideal fit for the way offense is played. And the way he got away with that earlier in his career was he was just a demon on defense. As a rebounder and, especially in a playoff setting, the guy was one of the best out there going. But since he blew out his knee, he has not been the same player, and he has not been able to change his game. So as a result, you have teams when they play him, they don't even guard him. It's not even 4-on-5 because you look at some of the video of what happens when Rondo's on the court, and it's almost embarrassing. I would be embarrassed if I was him. And so everything is changing, and he's not adapting. And his reaction to that mostly has been to be surly throughout the way. And when you can get into all the details and talk about this and talk about that and what happened here and what happened there, but you want to get down to the nitty-gritty. The game has moved past Rondo. He has not been able to adjust. He had the unfortunate injury that robbed him of his greatest talent, and he's angry about all of it. And it's hurting himself, and it's hurting his team.
Well, let's go to the next question then. What is the market for him, for teams, and what kind of money would he make?
Well, somebody will obviously want him. There was a period in time where he thought he was going to be a max player. And actually this summer, more max contracts will be given out than ever before in the NBA because the salary cap going up next year makes these maxes quote-unquote discounts. If you ever can think of a guy getting $15 to $18 million a year as a discount, that will not include Rondo. I do believe it's pretty clear he wants to play for the Lakers. He's been talking with Kobe about it for a long time. One of the worst-kept secrets in the league right now is that he's communicated with Lakers players besides Kobe about playing there next year, even as he's been playing with the Mavericks. But the question is, do the Lakers want him, or does any team want him? And if they do want him, at what price? Like I said, where the league is going right now, Rondo is not a fit. It's sort of a similar situation to what's happened to Roy Hibbert in Indiana. Hibbert has just not been much the last 2 years because standalone immobile centers, that's not the way the league goes. Now everybody has big men who can stretch the floor and shoot. That's not Roy, and it's not totally Roy's fault. He's in the wrong place and time for his talent base. Rondo's in the wrong place and time, and it's catching up to him. And instead of being willing to adapt, he has been a difficult character to deal with, and every team knows it. It's not like this is a secret that you don't have the scouting report on it. Somebody can make a mistake. So he's going to have to make a huge sacrifice, either monetarily or to his ego and his style of play for next year.
Mike Brian Windhorst is with us. This guy who's probably costing himself a fortune. Let's get to this business with LeBron and Riley. Brian has a terrific column on ESPN.com that you can read with his thoughts on the comments that went back and forth. We played LeBron earlier this morning. Riley talked about smiling faces with hidden agendas. LeBron called it nonsense.
I don't care about nonsense. There's too much nonsense out there. Not during this time. I'll lock you in right now, and I don't need nothing creeping into my mind for no reason that don't need to be there. I'll save all my energy and effort towards this team. That's all that matters.
Both Mike and I like that answer. Brian, what are your thoughts on this relationship and what, if anything, it means for both guys?
Yeah, I'm just not sure why Pat Riley would do that. It was just a cheap shot, and obviously the Heat organization is still wounded from LeBron leaving. That's clear, and they had horrible fortune this year when it came to injuries, and their season was ruined. And a lot of people in Miami, including Pat Riley, it's pretty clear, believe that LeBron didn't just leave, but he did some espionage because he waited for 10 days before leaving. He talked about how much he loved Shabazz Napier. They drafted him, and they thought that would keep LeBron. They signed a couple of players, Josh McRoberts and Danny Granger, and then LeBron left, and those were players meant to play with LeBron, and they were out of position. And there's a feeling in Miami that not only did he leave, but he had this plan where he would do as much damage as possible. And Pat Riley despite it's against his better judgment, but he still did it and said it, and it was a low blow that is unbecoming of Pat Riley. And I would say two things about this. Number one, LeBron didn't know where he was going to go. Maybe he made up his mind at some point, and then there was a period of days where he didn't let the Heat know. But there was no conspiracy here. It's very clear. There's evidence piled up everywhere. In fact, there are people around LeBron who say that it wasn't, that Pat Riley still had a chance to win LeBron over when they had their meeting in Las Vegas about July 8th, and Pat Riley just wasn't able to do so. And so I just think it's miscast. One of the biggest pieces of evidence you could ever have is the Cavs didn't think they were getting LeBron. They didn't even have enough salary cap space available, and they were flying in Gordon Hayward and getting ready to bring in Chandler Parsons, other small forwards. All of a sudden, LeBron's agent calls them back, and they slam the brakes and say, wait a minute, we might get him? They didn't know. And so and all the evidence points to that. And if the Heat want to ignore that, that's just it. The second part about this is Riley has been ruthless throughout his career doing what needs to be done, making a business decision, not personal, whether it was leaving the Lakers, whether it was leaving the Knicks, whether it was coming down to coach when Stan Van Gundy left, whether it was moving on from Alonzo Mourning or Tim Hardaway when he felt that the franchise needed it, whether it was cutting Mike Miller. All of these things were difficult and ruthless decisions, but they needed to be made, and they all worked out for Pat Riley. LeBron going back to Cleveland was a difficult and ruthless decision. He decided to go home, yes, but also to go to a younger team with younger stars. And looking at how Kyrie Irving has played in these first two games and how Dwayne Wade struggled with his health again this year, you could understand why LeBron did what he did. And I just think Pat Riley, he's so personally hurt because he hasn't had this happen to him that he's not recognizing that LeBron is doing the very same thing that Riley did for much of his career.
It's a terrific point and really well-written piece with Brian with that thought and many more up on ESPN.com. Brian, thank you.
Thanks,
we'll check
Brian.
in with you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Brian Windhorst with us on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance. I love every point that he made.
Me too, and I'm really surprised at Riley that he would go down that road, knowing he's gone down that road as well. But again, I don't know if anybody's there to really that will, to his face, call him on that.
All right, coming up next, here we go. Jason Stark's trivia. I'm 2-0 on the season.